Hello, and thank you for stopping by this edition of the Masters of Reviews channel of YouTube. I'm Thomas Mel 75, joined by newcomer Jeremy. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And today is not Wednesday. Normally, I do the Wild Card Wednesdays with one special topic every first Wednesday of the new month. However, due to band practicing obligations for myself, Wednesdays seem like they're going to be out of the question for the foreseeable future. So maybe between Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll do some of these examinations. So sort of a wild card here. Bring whatever you want, and we'll kind of discuss whatever is going on with the beers. And I will leave that floor up to Jeremy, and he can start talking about the beer that he brought this evening.
Really didn't have time to go get anything kind of creative here, but this is one I really like. I may start out with this one.
Sure.
I'm new.
Excellent choice.
Modella Negra is one of my favorite just macro beers that for Mexican style. It's a Munich Dunkel lager, and it's 5.4 ABV. It's a lot of caramel malty flavor in it, so it's really dark beer, and I like it a lot. So
Excellent. I'm gonna pull up the chat in case people are watching this live. Tyler seems to be watching us from YouTube and not joining. It sounded like he wanted to join, but that's okay. The beer I'm going to be drinking tonight is from the Sheben, Shebeen Brewing Company, and that is out of Walcott, Massachusetts, or Walcott, Connecticut. Brewed and canned by Sheben Brewing Company, Walcott, Connecticut. This is their foreign extra stout. It is called Finnegan's Ladder, and it is a 7% alcohol by volume beer. The website, unfortunately, doesn't list a terrible amount of information on this particular beer. However, the foreign extra stouts are a gigantic style of beer around the world. I mean, foreign extra stouts are really designed to be sold for export. As Beer Advocate would say, it's a special style of stout that is brewed bigger than normal for a long journey. And then they say the more traditional foreign extra stouts will be found in the tropical regions around the world, and they should always be higher in alcohol with a very pronounced roasty character. And they can really range, they say, anywhere between 5.5% all the way to 8%. Have a gigantic IBU range from 30 to 70. So big, old beers. And as you can see, it looks like a big old dark stout. But if Jeremy wants to talk a little bit about some Negra Modelo, that would be awesome.
let me go get. I actually did not get my beer glass, so
Excellent.
rookie mistake. Go ahead and talk about your. Let me go grab it real quick.
Cool.
Rookie mistake.
Excellent. Guess I'll do a little conversation about the Finnegan's Ladder. I'm having a little bit of a cold here, so pardon my nose maybe not being as sharp as it could be right now. But again, the look of this beer is a little bit ruby red around the edges, but it's pretty much black as night with this khaki tan looking, almost ice creamy mocha kind of colored head to it, with the big soapy looking bubbles. And the nose that I am detecting through the cold that I'm experiencing right now is very chocolatey. I'm getting like some darker cherries and raisins. Definitely, there's a little bit of like a cocoa powdery mix to it. There's some medium roasted barley malt in there. It doesn't smell like a huge stout at 7%, but it definitely has a lot of the stout notes that you're looking for. Does it smell reminiscent to like extra stout or foreign extra stout from Guinness? Basically, I mean, maybe it has a little bit more of that roasty uh, coffee kind of a note than a lot of the Guinness stuff does. But I mean, it's as far as I recall, it's pretty similar to foreign extra and to Guinness extra. So let me give that a try live on camera. This is Finnegan's Ladder from Shebin Brewing Company. Cheers. So yeah, very toasty, very roasty. I guess roasty is more the word I'm looking for. There's a lot of the coffee notes to it. There's a lot of bittersweet, darker chocolate in this one. There's a ton of carbonation, which is keeping this nice and drinkable. It is extremely effervescent. There's a little bit of that burnt kind of charred malt in there as well. So it does feel more than in the nose that's a bigger, more substantial beer here in the glass. Again, there are some bittersweet, darker chocolate notes to it. And the body is medium to full on the medium side. It is pretty crisp. It's semi-dry, so not really clean by design. It is actually pretty dry for what it is. Mostly these stouts aren't super dry. And I guess it does have a moderate drinkability. It does taste and feel a little bit more hefty, like it would be more of a chore to drink a bigger beer like this and just start guzzling it down. But so far, so good on that. So the floor is to Jeremy and the Negra Modelo.
Well, as you can see, the head of it went really quick. It's got a small, light, tannish head originally, but it's displayed even more. It had some good lacing, I see. But it's clear, medium brown color, real clear, but it's real dark. But as far as it's just a lot of caramel aroma to that. It's a little bit of a hobby, not much. Slightly. Let me try taste test real quick.
Cheers.
It's got a smooth flavor. It's slightly bready, toasty type. It's got a lot of caramel malty flavor. A little bitter, not much, not like a IPA for sure, but better than a Corona. I love Corona Extra. That's one of my favorite sessional beers. And but this right here is it's got more alcohol and it's got a really good flavor to it. So.
And you have had that. You've had that in the past, and
yeah.
Have you had any of the other darker Mexican style lagers? And if so, in the back of your mind, how does the Negro Modelo compare to the others in the style?
Like I said, I'm kind of new to trying different beer out. I've been in the craft beer, but I have to go all the way to Little Rock to get good craft beer, and so basically I just get what the locals have here, and they have some like Stone and just different your regular Lagunitas and stuff like that. Your basic, but they don't have any kind of off the wall craft beers that you would normally get in like at Little Rock. But yeah, I've tried one more mass produced beer like this was the Dos Equis Amber, and it's almost the same to be honest. To be honest with you, they're real similar. So
okay,
what do you think about the as far as your opinion on this style of beer?
the I guess it's considered a Vienna lager. So those Vienna style lagers from Mexico, I would rather drink those than any of the paler, lighter offerings. I just find that stuff like you're drinking, the Negro Modelo, just has a little bit more character and some extra bitterness. And I think that obviously the roasted malts that they're using are definitely contributing to a much, for me at least, a much more rich and complex drinking experience. Not like those style of beers were really designed to be like rich and complex. However,
Yeah.
compared to even a lot of the stuff for North American style lagers, I think those are really good alternatives. Victoria is one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
The Negro Modelo is there's the Dos Equis Ambar, which is really good.
Mhm.
So it's really easy to find those good style of lager beers.
Right.
But
Right.
have to search a little bit to find some of the more obscure, darker lagers out there.
I'll definitely like I'll be in Little Rock this weekend, so I'll try to pick up some, more of a craft beer in this
Yeah,
style. So I don't know.
definitely. As you probably saw, joining Jay Terrio and Louisiana Beer Reviews. Definitely between the both of us too, we're definitely not really exclusive to. You only got to bring craft beer because there's so much going on in beer. I think that it's all at least worthy of a assessment to it. I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything that, I mean, maybe if you're getting like, I don't know, 24-ounce cans of like Earthquake High Gravity Lager, I don't know if that's really worth your time and effort. But I think everything's got is at least worth a fair shake.
Right. Right. Well, I mean I think Beer Advocate gave this a 3.35. Rate Beer gave it a 14 overall and 47 for style. So it's not rating very well, but you know it is what it is. So
Yeah,
it,
but do you think that it getting such a low rate? Why do you think it's getting such a low rating? What do you think is driving such a low, poor score?
um it may be that kind of a stigma that comes with it with the macro brewing, but I don't know. It's there. I mean, there's so many great beers out there that are better, so it could be that too. A little bit of both, a little bit of bias, and a little bit, I would say, but I'm not sure. What is your opinion on that?
Especially if you go on like on rate beer, they just seem to trash all of
Yeah,
macro style these macro style lagers and mass produced beers just because I my thought is that again, it's not craft beer, and some people have just outgrown this style of beer and these simpler kind of lager beers, and I think a lot of these beer reviewers are kind of losing or forgetting the idea of what these beers are really meant for and what they're really designed for. They're not supposed to be
yeah, that's
$20. They're not designed to be a $20 4 pack. They're not
right.
designed to be exquisite or exclusive to only the uber rich people out there. They're designed to be simple beers at lower ABVs that anybody can enjoy. That typically are not really if they're brewed correctly, are not supposed to have any offensive off flavors. So for people to say that it tastes like nothing, therefore I should be rating it so low, I think is giving that style of beer discredit because that's exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Not a whole bunch, but does that mean that that makes it a bad beer? Is the real $1 million question, right?
Yeah, the probably a lot that goes into that. I guess when you start getting into it more and more, like I love craft beer myself too, so
Yeah,
um, I drink these um, because like if you're just going to drink, quite a bit, you're going to drink a little bit cheaper beer. You're not going to be buying the 4 pack that's $20, and well, of course you can't even most of them are so high in ABV that you're not going to be drinking many of anyway, or you're
Right.
yeah. That's the way I started when I first got into craft beer. I was like trying to drink them like you would a regular beer, and that will get you in trouble.
Yep.
Especially the 9 to 10% ones and up. So, but
Gabriel Zelaya is saying here live on our chat, hello, sir. He's saying lager beers are for poor and average Joe people. Agree or disagree, Jeremy?
well, tell him I can't get all the craft beer where I'm at.
And typically, no fault of Gabriel's own. I do not discriminate based on what people drink. That's kind of silly. However, that's normally if he comes on our channel. He does some craftier things from time to time, but normally I see pretty average lagers for average people that he drinks. So maybe that's just easily accessible and cheap. That's why he drinks them. But our buddy Redbeard from up in the great country of Canada says absolutely nothing wrong with a lager now and then. And I think the only thing that's wrong, no fault of your own, Redbeard. And I know you know this, but I think I think just saying this, I think just using macro lagers or American adjunct lager and using the word lager to describe them, just to say lagers, is incorrect because lager and an ale are only defined by the yeast strain that they're brewing with. So as long, I mean, there are so many different kind of lagers out there. Box, Doppelbox, Eyes Box. Uh, what's another really great one? A Baltic Porter is using an ale, a lager yeast. Therefore, a Baltic Porter is a lager. So don't get too caught up in the terminology that all lagers are yellow and fizzy and are used in beer pong, because not in Germany, son. Oh, AB beers and Miller Coors. That's what Gabriel says. Those are classic lager brewing brands.
Right.
So, Kent Beer Reviews. He is from the great country of the United Kingdom. He says, good evening. Hope you are keeping warm. Yeah, we're in a little bit of a polar vortex. I live here, excuse me. I live here in southeastern Massachusetts, and it's probably, what does the phone say? Something like it's 11 degrees outside. Luckily, I don't live in Chicago, but yeah, I think tomorrow, no, wait a minute. Next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, it's going to be like 50 degrees. That's just the way the world works there.
It's supposed to warm up pretty good here too, so
just be glad we don't live in the Midwest this time of the year. Yes, and then Redbeard says nothing wrong with an actual real lager now and then. But to go back to your great lager beer you're drinking, if you had to give Negro Modelo any kind of a rating or a score, what would you give it and why?
I would give it a B minus probably. Whatever that would be.
And
what scale are you using?
I usually use either a letter rating or out of 100. Usually, if I'm going to give something a B minus, that is probably between like the 80 and
82, somewhere around there.
83 range for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's for what it is. I mean, for the type of beer, if you're going to put this up against other macro beers, hey, it gets a B minus. That's what I'm rating it on. I'm not rating on comparing this to a, Stone IPA or something epic,
That's good. Yeah. Do you think that it's a good value for the money?
Definitely. It's a good ABV actually. So, 0.4 more than a Stella. Probably I'm trying to think. Unless you're going to drink a Bud Platinum or something like that, it would be 6.
Right.
I don't know what would be a Bud Ice 5.5, I think, or I'm trying to think of anything that's right in that range. 5.4 is pretty good for a, you know,
A
cheap
lot of
beer.
your ice beers are in your American style ice beers are in the 5.5 to like
Yeah.
5.9 range.
Yeah, and this is 5.4, so I mean it's close, and it's got a way better flavor than
Yeah,
those, in my opinion. But I mean, everybody's got their own taste and flavor what they would
yeah,
like.
I think I would probably. I'm trying to remember my experience. I'm probably not too. I know I've rated that beer before, but I'm sure today I'm in a similar rating category as you. However, I do find that you're just going to have to pay just a little bit extra just because it is an actually authentic imported beer from another country.
Yeah,
Now, you get beers like Beck's, the Beck's line of beers, or what's another one, like the Foster's line of beers
Foster.
that are actually brewed here in the United States, or like a Bass, a lot of what we get of Bass ale they're all brewed here in the United States. However, because they're of foreign descent originally, a lot of these companies think that they can charge extra money for their beers because they have an imported label on them, which is kind of ridiculous. But
And again,
yeah, you're paying extra for an actual imported beer right there.
now is Newcastle, is that actually brewed in the UK, or is it?
I
I
believe
don't
it
know.
is brewed in I think it is brewed in Scotland.
It really is okay.
It is.
Those are pretty good for like cheap beer.
I haven't
You
had that forever. I can get, let's see.
haven't had that before?
I have. I couldn't tell you the last year I drank one of those.
Oh, okay. You're saying
But
you haven't. It's been a while since you drank, is what you're saying.
yeah, I can get, let's see here. A
Those are
six
pretty
pack
good.
is $8.99 in my local area, and a 12 pack, 12-ounce cans, not all the or bottles, not all the time when you get an imported beer because they're using the metric system and they do everything based on milliliters. Not every time do you get a foreign beer is it going to be in the proper amount of ounces. So 12 ounces for $8.99, but actual authentically brewed beer from the United Kingdom is not so bad at all.
Another thing I would point out is that, you have the brown bottle, so less chance of getting a skunk beer, or you know as far as that goes, I think that's a plus because I've never got a one that just tasted really bad or anything.
And
So
do you think there's a lot of what's the term I'm trying to use? Do you think it's just that some of these Mexican, the paler, more traditional lagers, do you think that for a lot of these Mexican beers, it has just become sort of stereotypical to put them in a clear bottle, and
yeah,
that's sort of why they do it for no other reason than that?
um, I'm not really sure. I wish they would all go to the
A brown bottle, right?
yeah, because I mean, if you're buying a six, I don't even buy like Corona Extra. I still like Corona Extra just to drink them, just regular beer. And you got to watch it because it's in the clear bottle. I don't ever buy like a 6 pack of the bottles because they've been out in the sun more. And I always, if I'm gonna buy them, I'm gonna buy them in the box. So
Kent Beer Reviews. His name is Craig. Hello. He is, like I say, he's actually from the United Kingdom watching. And
cool.
he's talking about the Bass because I mentioned Bass Ale. He said for the Bass Ale, again, Bass is a United Kingdom English beer. He says that Bass Ale is so poor, they're now brewing it in Belgium, which is actually the headquarters of InBev. So it's so poor that they got to export it out of the country to make it cheaply. So
Wow.
that even goes to show you where sometimes conglomerates can be a really great thing being owned by the big boys. So if you're a craft brewer, I mean, maybe at first there's a little bit of a shock by saying Anheuser-Busch wants to buy me and wants to own me. Like what? I'm trying to separate myself from that. However, if you really probably sat down and looked at it financially for yourself and you looked at it as far as my beer is going to be able to get distributed everywhere, maybe it's not such a bad thing. Although maybe in the Bass Ale case and how Kent Beer Reviews is kind of talking about it, maybe it's almost like it's so far and taken away from England and it being sort of synonymous with English beer drinking that not even English people want to deal with it anymore, which is kind of sad.
Wow. Yeah, that I don't know what's gonna, as far as a lot of these, craft beers, and they're it's gonna be interesting to see how many hang around and how many can't make it, and
Yeah.
there's a lot to that. There's so many right now. This it's almost an uh, overload of craft beer right
Yeah.
now. I just wonder if that's going to actually, because you see a lot of these macro beer breweries, they're buying them out. Like
Yeah.
Goose Island. Didn't they get bought out? And
Yeah, they got bought up by Anheuser-Busch a number of years ago.
yeah, so the big boys are still trying to buy up all the, you know,
Obviously, there's a
uh,
reasoning behind that. They obviously see maybe not so much of a threat. I don't think that no matter how big craft beer ever gets, that there's never going to be such a thing as the kind of beers that Anheuser-Busch and the Miller Coors brew. However, they must feel that there's a big enough market for it that they got to get involved in this, or otherwise they're going to get swallowed up in that particular market when it comes to beer. They have to acknowledge that that's a market that obviously is worthy of exploring and being a part of, right?
yes, that like I said, we're kind of in the boom of the craft beer. Um, the last what? How long has it been going on? Would you say, as far as?
Oh, I mean, I think it really started. So we're 2019, probably almost 10 or 12 years ago, maybe. It seemed like there was a really big resurgence in craft beer, and there's just been a lot of different trends as far as craft beer. That's one thing I've noticed since turning 21 in 2010 is that craft beer seems to do things in waves and they do things in these movements. And I think that New England, which is my favorite style, not only just being from Massachusetts, but New England IPAs, it seem like they've been the most prevalent trend in craft beer. And you get sour beers, then you get barrel aged beers, and then you get session IPAs, those really low ABV beers. So I think as long as people understand and can see these trends and can ride on the trend and then make something of their own brewery and sort of do things a little bit the same, but they can kind of do their own thing. I think that's what's going to make a brewery stand out versus the other. There's just so many breweries local to your region, wherever you live. I just think it's hard for one brewery to really rise above everybody else these days.
It that is what I'm kind of interested in, actually, is to see, kind of like right now we have a brewery called Lost 40 in Arkansas. It's in Little Rock, and it's gaining a lot of ground. But can it actually make it to that next level where they're distributing nationally? Right now it's just in Arkansas, maybe Louisiana a little bit. I don't know, but there's a real small footprint, and I'm just seeing who's going to be the one that kind of breaks out, or if anybody can, because
Yeah.
we're such a small state. I mean, the odds are against you, and it's just going to be interesting to see if somebody else takes over that spot. But right now, they're getting a lot of push. Every convenience store you go into, they have, Lost 40, and it's you got to spend extra money to get the craft beer. That even local craft beer like that, it's a lot of more of a commitment. So some of your local beer drinkers that I just want natural light, or or you know what I mean. You're some of them, they don't really care. They're not looking to that. They're just wanting the effects, so they just drink whatever, like you know. But I like the crab beer because it's of the flavor that you get, and it's really fun to try out different
Yeah.
style beers, and that's what the whole thing's about, exploring and seeing if you actually like different beer that you've never heard about.
No, that's the aspect of what our buddy Tyler Mansell calls all of this YouTube reviewing, International Beer Reviewers Guild. So anybody that's a part of the J. Terrio, Thomas Metal 75, friends of us, that's what we like about reviewing beers and trying different beers. It's not about putting ourselves, so we're not this faction that goes and says, oh, we're going to terrorize everybody else that reviews beer because they don't think the way that we do, or, oh, we don't like the way that they run their beer review channel, so we're going to terrorize them and tell them what they need to be doing in craft beer, or intimidation, or whatever it is. This is just meant to be a really fun time, a couple of days a week, depending on how much you want to personally do reviews. Again, the live stuff is once a week, and if Jay hosts on Wednesday, probably twice a week, and who knows what else on the weekends. But yeah, to your point there, Jeremy, yeah, for me, I like to go to breweries and try different beers. I especially like with this beer here, I bought a single. It's so easy. Massachusetts just might be a crazy place where I live, that it's like beer mecca almost, where there's so many different beer companies and so many different craft beers here in New England and in Massachusetts, that it's so easy for me just to go do mix of sixes, or I can do a mix of 4-pack of tall pint cans and just buy strictly a mix of 6 or a mix of 4-pack just for beer reviewing purposes, and it keeps the cost down. And if I end up liking a beer, I'll go back to the store and buy more. If I don't generally care for the beer, I only bought one of them, so it's very easy to do that. I know probably not in everybody's area it's easy to buy and do mix of sixes, but if you have the opportunity to do it and you want to try more beers on a regular basis, mix of six is about the best way to go about that.
Yeah, we can do that in Little Rock. We have that at certain liquor stores in the Little Rock. We can do that, but locally, you can't just buy it. You have to buy like a whole 6-pack or whatever of the craft beer, and then if you don't like it, you're kind of stuck with it.
Yep, you gotta pony it up and just either man it up or pour your money down the drain or whatever it is. But it's supposed to. Again, the whole reasoning that I do this is it's fun, and I don't try to get pissy or in a fight online because I'm drinking this exquisite foreign extra stout, and you're sitting there drinking a 40 of Mickey's. Like, what the? No, who cares? If that's the beer you want to drink, I support you drinking that beer. So, you know what? Speaking of this beer, I don't think I rated this beer yet.
No, you didn't. I was wondering what you was going to rate that.
I don't know, 3/4 of the way down. It's got some nice looking lacing. It is Finnegan's Ladder from, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, Sheben. Sounds like I'm saying Sheborn in Boston. Sheben Brewing Company. Egg guy. 7%. Pint, 16 ounces. It's pretty. I almost wanted to say it's pretty average for a stout, but maybe it kind of is. It definitely is medium. I've decided it's a medium body. There's a touch of a chalkiness at the end. It actually is pretty dry, but I'm going to call it semi-dry still. I'm still getting some residual sugars in there from the malt. Chocolate, toffee, maybe a touch of caramel, more chocolate than anything. A little bit of roasty, almost burnt kind of coffee notes to it. The head is slightly creamy, which is helping me want to give it a higher rating. I think an 84, 85. Let's go with 85 out of 100 on this beer. I mean, I think it is pretty stereotypical for a really good stout beer. Foreign extra stouts typically are of a Irish nature in their history. Again, however, they are meant almost like an IPA. They're just bigger and bolder versions of like Irish dry stouts and porters for exporting around the world. So at 7%, this isn't actually really a giant chore to drink it, but that heftier medium body does remind you that it is a bigger bodied beer. The alcohol is very well masked, so that's helping me with the drinkability. It's a moderate carbonation, but it does have a nice prickly feel to it. So, I mean, I think if it was even more smoother, had more of a malt complexity to it, and almost it's almost got a grainy sort of a finish to it. If that was eliminated, maybe I could rate this. I would rate this beer a little bit higher. But as it stands, I would recommend it if somehow you saw it. And yeah, Guinness Foreign Extra Stout, the most famous of the foreign extras I know of. There's so many different foreign extra stouts between all the Caribbean islands, Jamaica. There's some in Kenya. There's some in Africa. Why? And Zimbabwe's got their own version of a Guinness that's got their own ABV. Why do they brew the same beer for different ABVs for different countries around the world? Maybe they have different laws about ABVs. Other than that, I have no clue. But try yourself some foreign extra stouts next time you see a Guinness foreign extra stout in your area. You might like it. Yeah, 85. So going back to our chat, Gabriel's given us all good information about the Bass Pale Ale. By 1877, it had become the largest brewery in the world with an annual output of 1 million barrels. All right. Guinness or draft bass. Okay, so he's being very informative for us all. And he said that the Bass Brewery was founded in 1777 by William Bass. Okay, he can get it for $6.99 a six pack at his Total Wine. I guess that's a pretty good deal. And Gabriel also said red ale and black lagers and amber beers are lagers, and brown ale are not golden yellow. Yes, brown ale is not golden yellow. Correct, sir. So, yeah, I think this has been a pretty good little review here. Hopefully, examination. I don't know the next time I'm going to do this. I used to do every Wednesday. I do band practicing now on Wednesdays because it seems like it's the only day of the week we can do it. So between Tuesday and or Thursday next week, we might try to do this again. The topic of discussion, since it's the first of the new month next week, we had decided to do in the Masters of Beer Reviews examinations to review European beer. So anything from the continent of Europe. So if anybody wants to come, if Jeremy wants to come back, I would love to see you guys and review some European style beers. So before we go, does Jeremy have any final thoughts before we close out?
No, next time I will be ready with the craft beer. So
Cool.
I wasn't really ready but I will be ready next time. So that's
nice.
all I enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on. And
thanks. I thought more people were going to join, but they all did it yesterday. So as I say on my channel, until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. And Jeremy and I will see you soon. Adios.